We are Mike and Jeannie, and we restore old houses. In 2021, we moved to South Carolina and bought a 120-year-old Victorian house. Follow along as we put the polish back on this Victorian masterpiece.
Aren't those beautiful flowers? Ah, they're gorgeous.
Welcome back to 1834 Restoration House.
It's been a hot minute since we've talked to you guys, and there's a good reason for it. But we've had a lot of people contact us and ask us how are things going.
We're actually doing pretty good. Mike's had a lot of homework, a whole lot of homework, which is astounding because he's only got 2 classes. The other thing is that we've been working on the HVAC, but it's really hard to get stuff done under the house while we're both working on it and film it. So we haven't been able to film it, but we will show you today a little bit about what we've done.
We've had summer bearing down hard on us.
Yes.
And so we spent a lot of time under the house working on HVAC. We decided that it was best not to film it so we could just focus on this thing, get it done, and get into the cool. Like right now, it's early morning.
Yes.
And it's already hot and muggy, unbearably hot and muggy. We really want to get back in there.
Yes.
But before we do that, we have to show you what we did. But thank you to everybody who wrote to us and asked about how we were doing and why we're not here. That's why we're not here, because we were under there trying to get that system going.
Yes, we really needed it before the intense heat of summer came.
Yeah.
And we just barely made it.
Just barely. Yeah, it was literally a day before the intense heat wave came.
Yeah.
So it worked out good.
We do still have to finish wrapping it because there is a section that's not insulated yet. But we figured that's going to wait until it's not quite so hot because there's no airflow under the house. So it's cooler, but it's still heavy air, it's muggy, it's just yuck.
Yeah, the insulation part can wait for cooler weather. We really don't need the insulation right now because it's only a section of about maybe 8 feet that's uninsulated right now. And we forgot to tape up one seam.
Oh dear.
So we have to go fix that too. But things are good.
Yes.
We're doing great. We're just overwhelmed by the whole HVAC thing and just trying to get that all finished, but it's all done. Well, why don't we stop talking about it and go show them what we did? Well, as you can see, things have gotten away from us. We've got a big mess here. We've got that old pile of lumber over there. That's all cedar. Pieces of HVAC that we've yanked out of there. And all of this, take a look at all this. We've got all this stuff I was trying to get out of here. I was trying to kill this tree and get it out. And this has now turned back into a jungle. And I was trying to get this all uncovered and bare so that we could build back the original structure that was here in the old days. But as you can see, nature in South Carolina is very powerful and will take over if you're not on top of it. The area back behind here is mostly okay, but we're starting to lose the back section there just because we haven't been able to take care of it. So let's get under the house and I'll show you what we did. All right, you guys, welcome to the underside of the house. We ended up building 2 sections of HVAC ducting, metal ducting that is, and it starts over there by the wall. You saw us build the part that came through the foundation. You saw us build the extension, but we had to build two of these. These are called transitions. And they're very complicated trapezoids. And I have one back over there, which is now wrapped in insulation. And I'm not sure if you can see it on camera, but there's a flex duct, which is the original duct that's hooked up to it. And then we have this one here, which we haven't yet insulated. So you can kind of see what we've got going on. So we come from the transition, we go from a 16 by 16 square duct to a 10 by 24 rectangular duct, and that's what the trapezoid is for. That was really complicated trying to get that to work. I had to use a computer to help me figure out the lengths and angles and whatnot. And so we have hangers, these straps right here, hang the ductwork up, and you can see that the seams are sealed with tape. I did forget to, yeah, right here. This is a seam between 2 rectangular ducts, and I forgot to go back and put tape on here and seal it up. So when it's running, you can hear it sucking air, and that's not efficient. But one of the neat features about this is we've never had a filter on this system as far as I can tell. I've looked all over, I can never find it. So I went ahead and built a filter rack as I was doing this. It was all custom built. So you take this, pull it down, and right there, inside is the filter. And you can just reach in, pull it out, change the filter every 3 to 6 months, whatever, and put a new one back in there. And then fit the cover back in and close it up. So now, in the future, we can have filtered air. But we still have a bit of work to do. This needs to be cleaned up and taped up. And we've got to come under here with insulation and finish insulating all of this just to keep the cold air cold and the hot air hot. While I was under here, I managed to pull a lot of debris out. There were pieces of pipe, there were bricks, garbage, all kinds of stuff came out of here. Nothing historical, but it really looks better under here without all that stuff. And one more thing I'd like to show you. You can't really see it, but there was a drain pipe right here, and it was constantly in the way. So we relocated the drain pipe up here under the floor joists, so that it would run like that and then go down. If we go around the other side, we could show it to you how it looks now. All right, so the pipe used to come here, came clear across, and then went straight up. So what we did is we shortened it up, made it run straight up, and then up into this cavity here between the joists, and got that out of the way. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been able to run the duct through there. So that's finished. And over there, just off to your left, you can see the remnants of what we took out. That is the old pipe. Finally, the last thing I'd like to show you is the old cistern, which we think is a cistern. It had wood there, and it was in the way, and I couldn't get in there to work on the HVAC duct, so I ended up having to take several of the boards off of there just to be able to sit on that edge and work on the ducting. All right, that pit is full of water, and it's probably a good 8 feet deep down there. As near as we can tell, this was a water collection system known as a cistern. And I don't know why they didn't take this out before they built the kitchen over the top of it. But it's always wet, and there's constantly moisture under the house, and that's not a good thing. So we're not quite sure what we're going to do about this. And there's also that boiler tank under there. Trying to figure out, why is there a boiler tank? Maybe it was a hot water system. Who knows? But we're sitting right on top of that boiler tank, which is buried under the soil. And eventually that thing will rust through, and then we'll have a collapse, a sinkhole under our house. All right, well, I think we've all seen enough. Let's get out of here. Isn't she great to go into the house like that and film with me?
Thank you, my love.
Yeah.
I do feel better. I'm clean again.
Yeah. Well, she's been helping me for years, going into some really nasty places to get the job done. And we've been able to enjoy our houses more as a result of the work we've done.
And a lot sooner.
Yeah, and a lot sooner.
It's hard to do a job when it's just you. Mm-hmm. And I understand that. And it is a big deal to me also that I want these things accomplished faster than 2 or 3 years down the road. Mm-hmm. So it's really nice that we can work together on it.
Yep. Well, that's how people did it in the old days. Husbands and wives, they would work together side by side to get the job done, whatever it was. And I still believe that there's a place for that in today's world. And I encourage you to practice that in your own marriage if you can. Well, here we are, back in the wood shop, and it looks like a disaster right now. The reason it looks like a disaster is because we were using this to prepare parts for the HVAC system, and also trying to do some woodworking projects that we did off camera. And it's really just gotten out of control. But we've got pieces of sheet metal laying down over there. We've got pipes and wires and bags of sawdust, tools, scraps of lumber all over the place. I think before we do any more, we're going to have to clean this place up because it's just unreasonably bad. Is that a good description? Unreasonably bad, or should I
Yes,
call it something
it is.
better?
No, it is
Okay, unreasonably bad.
Yes.
All right. Well, a lot of this stuff is important because we're trying to start a new business. And we touched on this, I think it was a few months back that we talked about, but we're starting a business to build stereo equipment. And that's progressing nicely. We have prototypes built, and they're working really well. And we've had a few people listen to them, and everybody is just blown away by the sound quality of these things and the look, which happens to have a lot of hardwood, walnut to be exact.
Yes.
So it's a good looking machine. It sounds great, and we'll talk more about that coming up. But right now, I'd really like to get this room cleaned up.
Sounds great. I love cleaning things up.
Okay,
Let's go.
Let's go. This is substantially better than it was a few minutes ago. I was having to step over just about everything to get around, and now I can walk freely through the room. I can move the tools around. It's not perfect. I still have some clutter here and there, but show me one workshop that is perfect, and I'll show you a guy who never uses it. Now I can get back to work. I have to make some parts for my stereo system, and that involves a table saw. I won't bore you with that. That's another project, but we will be sharing more about that in coming episodes. But I just can't believe how much space is in here. This is great. Isn't this awesome?
This looks really good. Much better.
It used to be dangerous to walk in here. Now
Yes.
It's only semi-dangerous. Okay, now, you might be wondering what's next for the HVAC system. Even if you're not wondering what's next for the HVAC system, we're going to tell you anyway. So the reason that we did that whole thing down below was because we need to pull gas, electric, and air conditioning lines from the bottom of the house all the way up through the first floor, second floor, into the attic, which is where we're going to put the attic system. The only way that we can get done with that, or even get in there, is by making that bypass, because it was completely a brick wall. I mean, you could not get through there literally, through all the ducting and everything that was in the way. So by building that bypass, we were able to bypass what was there, and we brought it up, pinned it up to the floor, and brought it out just enough that we could have a place where we could scoot under there.
And
Now,
he does mean scoot. You belly scoot.
belly scoot. To be able to belly scoot is much better than to be able to not scoot at all.
Right.
You would have had to crawl over ducts and hug them as you go through just to get in there.
They were huge ducks.
Not happening. So
Right.
the bypass is virtually done. That gives us access back inside there where we need to go so we can run the utilities. So the next thing we do after we insulate that section, we're going to see if we can find a way to bring those utilities up through, I believe, right there. There's a chimney right there. Right next to the chimney is a cavity. And I believe we can pull the wires, pipes, and everything through that cavity up there, get it all the way up to the attic.
That sounds great.
I mean, if squirrels could run up and down that thing, certainly we should be able to get some wires and tubes through there.
Right.
So we'll figure out a way. There's already some electrical wiring running through there that I found up in the attic. So we'll see if we can utilize that.
Sounds good.
All right?
Okay.
So that's what comes after that. And then once we have that, hopefully we'll be into fall by that time. We can go up into the attic space and start cutting in ducts. And then we'll build a metal ducting system. And now that we know how to build metal ducts from scratch, they are way cheaper.
A lot.
Like a third the cost to build our own metal ducts as it is to go buy them. That's significant. Maybe even a quarter of the cost. I can't recall exactly. But we'll build our own ducts. We'll install them, get them all plumbed in so that we have return air. We'll have supply air. And then we can condition the spaces upstairs, which right now we can't even hardly go into for more than a minute because it's so hot up there.
Yeah.
In the winter,
It's
it can be
freezing.
brutally cold. Even in South Carolina, brutally cold. You'd be amazed.
We're going to try and get most of it done in the fall where it's not too hot, not too cold. Lord willing, that'll be the perfect time and we'll get it all done at one time.
Right. And then we can start utilizing that space upstairs, which now we can't use for anything.
Right.
So that'll be a game changer for us. And later down the road, when we sell this place, then it won't cause problems for the buyers
Right.
like it did for us.
We'll be able to get that plaster room done too,
Right.
because we'll be able to work through winter or
Yep.
summer.
We'll be able to work in comfort. That
nice.
space up there, some of it will be used for our new business, at least to get it launched big enough so that we can get it out of here, which is my goal.
Yes.
Well, guys, I really appreciate you hanging around, waiting patiently for this video to show up, and I'm sorry it took so long, but we were down in the dirt. I mean, we were filthy.
Yes, and one night I found that I had rolled in some ants and I had little bug bites everywhere.
Who knew?
It was terrible, but we got it installed.
We got it installed.
Yeah.
I believe that when we start up in the attic, it's going to be a different kind of building experience. We won't be wallowing in the dirt,
Yes.
but we will be, doing a balancing act over the top of the joist to try not to fall through the floor.
Right.
And it might be a little hot up there, even in fall. It's hard to say.
Yeah.
So anyway, we appreciate all your patience as we come back and get started again with some other projects. Lots of exciting things going on behind the scenes, and we'll try to roll those out a little bit later once we have something to show you.
Yes.
Yeah. So
All
I
right.
think we better get out of here while we're still able to.
Thank you for watching 1834 Restoration House.